Hi there. So if you've clicked on this video, then you have a Sony ZV-E10 and you want to have a better lens solution than the kit lens that came with it. The kit lens that come with it, there's nothing really wrong with it. I've got it right here. I'm going to put it on here. So this is the Sony ZV-E10 and this is the kit lens, and it's not a horrible lens, but it doesn't give you the blurry background. It doesn't give you the special angles. They call that a prime lens. So this is a prime lens, and a prime lens has a fixed focal length. This one's a 24 millimeter. I believe it's a 2.8. But what is the issue with this lens? Well, it's a Canon. It's a Canon lens. And what is the issue with Canon lenses? Well, they don't work on Sony. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Keep watching, because you're watching Blue Collar Guy. Okay, we're back. So, what am I meaning by putting a Canon lens on a Sony? Well, you might have probably heard of lens adapters. And not all lens adapters are created equal. As a matter of fact, some of them are only good for photos, so they will communicate with your Sony camera if you put a Canon lens on them, but they don't work necessarily on video. And they certainly won't work if you need the autofocus. So, what did I find out in my research? Well, let's go to the downward shot and find out. So I'm going to put it on the downward shot, and we're going to scan over to there. And this is the downward shot. And in the corner, I'm going to put in the corner here. So if you look in the corner, you'll see that there's a Sony lens 24-70. That's like $3,000, and that's a G Master lens. You know, and there's a $1,200 lens, and here's an $855 lens, and there's a $675 lens. Oh my God, they're very, very expensive. So what have I got in this little box here? What did I do in this little box here? I've got something very, very unique. So there's a company called TT Artisans, or Seven Artisans, TT Artisans. I think it's all the same company. And this is a lens adapter. And I'm just going to move this stuff out of the way here. It's packaged okay. It's got some foam in it. So let me just get this out of there. Got some instructions. And this is what it looks like. It's got a little micro USB port for firmware updates. It's got this button here, which I'm not too sure what that does. And this is obviously your lens adapter, and then it's got this little tiny thing here which removes this. So sometimes you want this and sometimes you don't want this, so keep that in mind. Don't lose this. Well, I suppose you can always get another Allen key. Anyways, let's just move that out of the way. So if I've ordered the right part, this will work with this. So let's see if I screwed up or not. And this part goes on the camera. Now you see how this is shiny? That's a good sign that this is going to work well with the camera, because the ones that are dull are very, I guess they're too firm, and they can actually break the contacts that are in there. And that is one of the reasons why I picked this one. So let's take off this Sony, or this Canon, this Canon lens, and you can see that the contacts are in a different spot. And I'm going to try to match it. Okay. So we're going to match it up. There we go. And it should click. There we go. And then if I go to take it off, I need to hit this button, and then it removes it. Okay, so there we go. It's clicked into place. It's on autofocus. Now I'm going to go back to the Sony. So let me just go back to the Sony. So I'm looking into the Sony right now. And this is the kit lens. And I'm going to put this lens on this camera. And we're going to find out if it looks any different. But before we do that, I'm going to switch over to the DJI camera because I need a little bit of movement when I'm moving around so that I'm still in the shot, and that's why I picked that camera. So before I... Okay, so I'm recording this with my phone because when I shut off the camera, I lost audio because I forgot that my DJI Mic 2 was actually plugged into that camera. So now I'm just switching the lenses, and we're going to be putting on the other one. And as soon as I hook it in there and turn the camera back on, we should have our microphone back. So I didn't want there to be a big audio gap, so I just did a voiceover and recorded this separately. So if you're wondering why my voice doesn't match the video, that's why. Back on. Okay, so we may have lost audio there while I was doing that because I had the audio going through the Sony camera. So if there was a bit of an audio glitch, I'll probably have to edit that out. So we're going to go back to the Sony. So this is the Sony now with the 24mm Canon lens. So it's working. It's working. Now we're going to see if the autofocus is, there we go. Okay, so I've got it in video mode and the autofocus is working. That doesn't happen with a lot of lens adapters, just so you know. Some of them are only good for pictures. I'm going to put a link in the description so that you get the right one for your Sony ZV-E10. And that whole shiny part that I showed you on it is very important too, because if it's rough, it can actually damage your camera. So again, I can now use Canon lenses instead of using the kit lens. I'm holding the kit lens. There's the kit lens. Okay, there's the kit lens. All right, and if I take it away, it focuses on me. That's pretty fast autofocus for an adapter. So just to let you know what's involved, and I'm going to go back to the DJI real quick. What's involved is there has to be a communication between the Canon lens and the Sony lens. So if you want to know why they don't work very well together normally, it's because it has to take the video information and then it has to translate it into another language, give that to the Sony, and it has to do that so fast that we don't even notice it. So it's got to be done at light speed. We're going to go back to the Sony. So this is the Sony with a 24mm lens on it. And I like the view that I'm getting with it. Now I have a nifty 50, but the nifty 50, the problem with the nifty 50 is it's going to be too close because everything is kind of cropped in. Now I also have the active, I might have the active stabilization on here, which means it's brought it in a little bit more. But you know, if I shake the desk a little bit, see if I move the desk a little bit, you know, it's not as bad as if I didn't have that stabe on. So I might just leave that on there, the active, what they call the active stabe. But I don't even know if the active stabe is working with this lens because of all the different kinds of communication. But it looks pretty darn good, you know, like this is not bad. You know, we're looking into the lens and it's a Canon lens. I can even put the Canon kit lens on it, which I don't know, and I can even use my Canon telephoto lens. So now, if I want to use my Sony camera, which has more megapixels than my Canon, and I'm just going to step out of frame here. Yeah, so I've got, yeah. Anyways, let me take the picture-in-picture off because it's the same picture as the one we're looking at. So on the Canon, on this Canon, it is, I think it's 12 megapixels. It's an older model. So this one's got 24 that I'm looking into. That's a 4K camera. This is not a 4K camera. So, you know, it's just better resolution. Plus it's got the 6K. Now, like I said, we lost the audio during the switch. So I'm sorry about that, but you know, that's just the way it is. And I'll try to fill that in. I think I can add that later. So you know, we'll add that later, and I'll just let you know that we lost the audio temporarily. But I'm going to go back to the DJI. So yeah, this little device, this little communication device from 7 Artisans works. And I'm going to pull it up on the computer just so that you know how much it costs, so that if you want to get one, you can get one. I am not sponsored by them, just so you know. Okay, let me just find it here. All right, there it is there. Okay. So, and I'm just going to go to number 1. Okay, so here it is here. There we go. So, it is $160. Yeah, 160 bucks. They've only got 2 left. Okay, and yeah. It has firmware upgrades. It is a very, very well built device. If you use it on telephoto lenses, then you would use that little mount. And I'm just going to circle that with my right here. See this little mount with that Allen key? You can take that off with the shorter lenses, but you can also put it on with the longer ones. So it's a type of support is what it is. So yeah, it's very, very cool. 160 bucks. So I'm going to go back to me. And yeah. So if you have a Canon camera and you don't feel like spending thousands of dollars on lenses, as you can see, they can get quite expensive for Sony. And you've got some decent Canon lenses like EFS or even full frame lenses, you can use this and then save yourself from having to buy other lenses. And the other reason why I got it too was that it just seems so senseless to buy the same, size lenses but for different cameras. And then, you leave someplace and you're like, well, I got to grab this lens and that lens, and you've got this whole mess of lenses. And now you only need to have one group of lenses with the focal lengths that you want. So you want 24 millimeter. I can put the nifty 50 on there, and I'm going to switch back over to the, okay, so now we're looking into it. The quality's really good. The quality's really good. And it looks fine on there. I'm going to, let me just put the webcam on. So I'm going to activate the webcam, and we're going to go over to the Sony. It doesn't look like a Frankenstein type of setup, I've got the autofocus on there. It doesn't take up a lot of space, And there's my DJI, and that's why I lost the audio, was because that when I shut the camera off, it automatically will power off the audio. So luckily it came back. But yeah, 24 millimeter, and it is a 2.8. It's a 2.8 lens, so it's not that fast. It's not like a 1.4 or anything. But I can find, let me just go back. I can find a 1.4 cheaper in a Canon than I can in a Sony. And if I went on the used market, I could find one pretty quick too. So like, I'm just going to go back to the computer again, and I'll go Canon f1.2, which is a pretty fast lens. There's the Brighton Star. That's an f1.2. That's 148 bucks. I got this lens too. This is the 75 to 0, so I can put this telephoto lens on there, and that was only $200. And so you can get a lot cheaper lenses, because Canon EFS lenses, they're a lot more common than Sony lenses, the E-mount. And don't get me wrong, Sony lenses are very, very good quality. They're excellent lenses, but the price is just killer, and even on the used market, they're almost going for retail. So anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, there's the kit lens. You know, I don't know what to do with it now because I don't even know if I have a cover for it or if I have a cover that'll work. I wonder if the Canon cover, nope, the Canon cover doesn't work. And, oh, I did find, oh, that cover works. How about that? The Sony cover works. So the Sony cover that came with the adapter will actually work on your kit lens. And then I can take my, do I have my Sony, there's my Sony lens cap. And that one works on the, that one works on the old kit lens. So the kit lens is now going to go in storage, you know, and that's, you know, and look at that. And if you get close, like if I get close enough, the background will get a lot more blurry on the 2.8. But 2.8 isn't the, you know, the best, but, you know, if you shop around, you could probably get a Canon f.12 or even an f.095, and the availability is probably going to be a lot better because Sony is becoming a lot more popular than Canon. But just remember that when you go to put the lens cap on your Sony now, you got to use a Canon lens cap. But I also have some filters for the for this lens too, because I have filters for my Canon, so I can use it outside for that too. I did buy some filters for this one, but you know, it's hard to say. Now you don't have the power zoom. This is a prime lens, you know, but now I can put the nifty 50 on it. The nifty 50 is closer though. It's going to be a closer shot, but it's also a faster lens. It's a 1.8 lens, not a 2.8. So you're going to have more of a blurry background with the 1.8, but everything's going to be zoomed in a lot more, so I have to be farther away from the camera. And but yeah, you'll get the more of a blurred background, but you can barely read what's going on back there. You know, the follow me sign is a little bit, you know, if I go back to the I'm going to go back to the so you can read it a lot easier with the DJI now, with the more of a wide angle shot. But you know, the other reason why I picked this is because I want this closer shot. You know, I want this closer shot, and then if I want the webcam, I can queue up the webcam and I can get the closer shot with the webcam on that. So, you know, it's all about getting these different angles, and then if I want a downward shot, I can get the you know, that one. So it works a lot better that way. And you know, we're running 5 inputs on this video switcher because we're also running the input on the computer itself too. So we've got the computer itself, we've got the downward shot now, and then we've got the Sony ZV-E10 shot, and now we've got the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 shot. So, you know, and if you want to know how to do this on a budget, well, I've got a video on that too, and I hope you like what I'm doing in the background there, because I'm trying to fix it. But yes, I know my vacuums are still back there. I haven't quite found a place to stick those yet, but at least you know I'm a clean person. Okay, so take care, be safe at work, and I will see you at the next video.